ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So before I get into the update on the 187 gallon tank, if you want to help support the channel and pick up some SPS frags, you can do so at reefbum.com. Now let's get into the video. So about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, I finally planted frags in the 187 gallon tank after the reboot. Now you'll notice there's an acclimation box in the upper left hand corner. More on that in a second. But after I added the frags, a few days later, I noticed I was losing some polyp extension. And it was disturbing because these were some friggin' fuzzy sticks in my frag tank. I had them cooking in my frag tank for, I don't know, roughly 3 months. A lot of them were fully encrusted frags, just super polyp extension. And I was just really jazzed because there was a lot of growth on some of these frags. So they were beauties, and I was just, really excited about adding them to this display tank. So after I did, and seeing that they started to retract in terms of the polyps, I was bummed out. I was really bummed out, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. And so a few weeks before I added these frags, I added this little guy to the tank. So he was in there before the frags were added to the tank, and he was a shy little fella. This is a captive bred regal angelfish I picked up from another hobbyist about 3 months ago. It's a biota captive bred regal angelfish. So this little guy was in one of my frag tanks, and he was really shy. He was in one of my frag tanks for about 3 months, really shy, always just hung out underneath the frag racks. So I was a little hesitant to put him into the large display tank because I had some, large fish in this tank, and I didn't know if he was going to get bullied or what. So I don't know. I think one day I just figured, what the heck, I'm gonna just put him in this tank and keep the fingers crossed and hopefully hope that nobody would pick on the fish, and nobody did. He was out and about pretty soon after I had put him in this tank and cruising around in and out some of these swim throughs. He was having a jolly old time, and he got very comfortable very quickly. And I hesitated about putting him in here. Well, I hesitated a little bit because obviously angelfish have a reputation as nippers. But I've got, in the peninsula tank right here, I've got this guy, this regal angelfish, beauty. Had him in here for at least a year. And he'll pick every now and then. And when I did put this regal in this tank, there were mostly large frags, some like mini colonies. And he still picks here and there at some of the SPS. So I just kind of assumed that the captive bred regal that I was putting into this tank would also pick here and there, but wouldn't really do a lot of damage. So, well, I just kept watching more and more frags lose polyp extension. It seemed like at first it was just a handful of frags that didn't have a polyp extension, but then pretty much all of them. And then I just kind of looked at my live webcam and even stood in front of the tank and just witnessed this little guy picking at my SPS. And I think it's a gorgeous fish, and I was so stoked to get him. But I'm an SPS guy first, so what the plan is, I'm gonna leave him in the acclimation box for a couple of days. I might even move him into one of the frag tanks in the acclimation box to kind of see what happens. But we'll see what happens with the polyp extension. I haven't lost any frags yet to this point in time. I'm actually noticing some frags, some of the polyps are starting to come out a little bit more. I don't know. He was sort of like a busy beaver. But I did sort of break one of my rules of thumb, which is don't add any angelfish to a tank that has frags only. Like I mentioned before, I think if I had many colonies in here, or mini colonies, a frag or two here and there, then I think that would have been fine. But yeah, I have to kind of keep him in the acclimation box. Now, how did I catch him? How did I catch him? This is an interesting story. My first attempt was with a small fly fishing hook, barbless fly fishing hook. I've had success in the past catching fish out of my reef tanks with a small fly fishing barbless hook. Just put a piece of food on there, and yeah, I mean, for years and years I've done that, and I've had success. But this was different. This guy was very shy. All these chromis were going after the fly fishing hook. So I quickly realized that was not going to be the ticket to get him out of here. So I have a fish trap, but it's one of those fish traps that go on the bottom, and it's big, and I think it would have been more intimidating, this fish acclimation box. There's a lid right at the top right here that opens up, and so what I did was I turned this into a fish trap. I turned it 90 degrees this way, so this top was going sideways, so the top was kind of swinging open this way. Maybe I'll do a little demonstration. Well, I'm not going to be able to do a demonstration because he's going to stay in there. But anyway, the top, I turned it sideways, and the top was swinging open freely. And so I took some fly fishing line right here, and I tied it to that door. And you know, it was more out in the middle of the tank. I would have filmed this, but I had no expectations whatsoever of catching this guy or any other fish, because my understanding is that once you put a fish trap in the fish tank, the fish are not going to go near it for days until they kind of get used to it. They're sort of freaked out by it. But this Banggai cardinal fish, as soon as I put it in there, you know, and had it open, he was swimming in, swimming out, and even without any food in there, he was like this curious George. And then I started putting some food in there, and I had the chromis going in, and the Anthias. This guy was just kind of he was interested, but he was, you know, keeping his distance, or her distance. But I don't know, about 10 minutes later, I was putting some more food in there, and this dude got super curious and wandered into this box. I just pulled the string, closed the door, and voila, I had this thing captured like after 15 minutes of trying. So yeah, a complete shocker. Like I said, I would have caught this on video if I thought I had a chance in hell of catching him, but I did catch him. So like I said, we're gonna just kind of sit tight, see what happens, and yeah, if anybody wants a beautiful captive bred regal angelfish, then yeah, you might want to reach out to me at some point soon, but we'll see. We'll see. I kind of have an inkling, a feeling that he was the culprit in terms of the polyp extension in the tank, because with all these frags, they were in the frag tank that was plumbed into this same system as, you know, the frag tank was plumbed into the same system as the display tank, same lighting, metal halide lighting, probably more flow in this tank than in the frag tanks. So you know, perhaps I'm not going to expect as much polyp extension. I don't know, maybe, who knows. I mean, that was kind of a theory of mine, like maybe I'm cranking the flow too hard in this tank, and that's why the polyps are retracting. You know, I've got 4 MP40s in this tank, but you know, I was kind of like grasping at straws, and I was just hoping that it wasn't the regal that was doing the nipping or closing the polyps on these frags. So that's a quick update on the 187-gallon tank. I mean, the good news is that the frags are planted, but fingers crossed that that is the reason why I was getting absolutely no polyp extension. I am convinced if I left him in the tank, or if he was the one that was doing this, that eventually I would have been losing some frags, even though there was more polyp extension at night when the lights were out. So that's going to be an update. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Be safe, be well, later.